How much money would you send to someone you met online? Someone you barely knew, never met in person, never even had a video chat with? Well, a 65-year-old woman lost 30 grand to a man she met online after he convinced her he was an astronaut and needed the money to return to Earth. In 2022, a Japanese woman, I'll refer to her as June, met a man on Instagram. She clicked on his profile and looked through his photos, and there she found all these pictures of space and photos of a cosmonaut, which is just a word that means Russian astronaut, because the man claimed to be a Russian astronaut working at the International Space Station. June was intrigued, not really questioning his profession, and the two started talking on the app Line, which is a popular app in Japan for instant messaging where you can send texts, images, videos, and audio. The relationship began to escalate, and soon they formed a love connection. Obviously, the two weren't able to meet in person because she was living in Japan and he was living in outer space, which also meant he had very limited cell service, so they couldn't communicate as often as they'd like. But over time, the man would start telling June that he loved her and that he wanted to start a life in Japan with her after he came back to Earth. He even wanted to marry her, and June felt the same exact way. But in order to tie the knot with June, the man said he needed money to travel back to Earth. The money would be used to pay for a rocket and landing fees. June was totally in love with this man, who she thought was a Russian astronaut, and truly did believe that once he landed back on Earth, they would be getting married. So she paid him about 4.4 million yen, which translates roughly to about $30,000. The money was paid out in several installments in just under a month. June was super excited and was ready for the love of her life to come back to Earth so they could get married and move on with their future together, but that didn't happen. Instead, the Russian astronaut kept making more and more demands, meaning more and more money, and that's when June grew suspicious and reported him to police. Unfortunately, the $30,000 she paid for him to come back to Earth was gone, and she never did meet the person claiming to be this Russian astronaut. Romance scams like this claim thousands of victims every year and have totaled nearly $2 billion since 2017, according to the Federal Trade Commission. Some ways to protect yourself from a scam like this is to reverse image search profile photos, see if they show up anywhere else online, and never send money to someone you've never met. That's it for today's episode. Again, hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, keep your eyes open for scams.